She called me an emotional support animal at dinner, so I quietly packed my things and left. She humiliated me in front of her friends like I was some novelty pet trained to care too much. Hi, I'm Benji, 28, and apparently I used to be an emotional support animal, according to my now ex-fiancée, Vanessa. Last weekend, everything changed over a bowl of overpriced pasta and a group of people pretending not to hear the slow humiliation of a man trying to tell a story. I was mid-sentence, sharing something about helping my coworker Craig through his divorce. A rough one. The guy had broken down in the parking lot, and I stayed with him, just sat beside him for 2 hours. Sometimes people just need someone to sit with them, you know? Vanessa didn't. Oh my God! She said, cutting through the moment with that bright, performative laugh of hers. You sat in a parking lot for 2 hours listening to Craig cry? That's so you. I blinked, already feeling my throat tighten. What's that supposed to mean? She leaned into it, eyes gleaming. You're like an emotional support animal. Always trying to fix everyone's feelings. Her friend Jenna looked down at her water glass. That's actually really nice. Vanessa waved her off. It's exhausting. Last week he made our old neighbor tea after her cat died. A cat. He sat with her for hours. Like she was his grandma or something. Mrs. Chun is 74 and lives alone, I said calmly. Whiskers was her only companion. See? Vanessa gestured to me like she was unveiling a circus act. There he goes again. You're too sensitive, Benji. It's embarrassing. Grow up. The table fell into that strange hush, when everyone's watching, but nobody's brave enough to cut in. Except Marco. I cried at that movie too. He muttered. What, when you were like 12? Vanessa fired back. Marco frowned. No. Last month. Vanessa rolled her eyes and threw her napkin on her lap. Great. Another sensitive one. You and Benji should start a support group. Everyone laughed nervously. Claudia didn't. I laughed too, but it was automatic. Muscle memory. My face burned. I kept nodding through the rest of dinner while Vanessa reenacted moments where I'd been overly emotional, like remembering her cousin's birthday, texting old friends, or crying at Marley and me. It's clingy and weird, she announced. Nobody needs that much emotional availability from a man. I didn't say a word, just chewed my penne and decided something quietly. That was the moment I started growing up, just not the way she meant. The next morning, while Vanessa was at brunch, I packed a bag. Nothing dramatic, just clothes, laptop, toothbrush, documents. Left everything else. Left a note. You're right. I need to grow up. Mature adults don't stay in relationships where they're mocked and belittled. I'm staying at a friend's while I figure out next steps. We should talk, but I need some space first. Then I drove to Derek's family cabin and turned off my phone. And that's when the real story started. The texts started piling up around 2 p.m., just as I was settling in at the cabin with a cup of coffee and the quietest silence I'd heard in months. Is this a joke? Benji, where are you? This is so immature. You can't just leave. I was joking at dinner. Stop being so sensitive. That last one was my personal favorite. The irony was so thick, I almost laughed. Then, around 6 p.m., Claudia called. I stared at the screen for a full minute. I almost didn't pick up. But something told me to. Benji, she said as soon as I answered. Thank God. Are you okay? I'm fine. Thanks for asking. Vanessa's losing it. She's calling everyone from dinner, freaking out about how you abandoned her over nothing. She made air quotes I could hear. But that's not why I'm calling. She hesitated. I could tell this wasn't casual. Can I ask you something? I know we don't know each other super well. But I heard what you said about your coworker. And how you sat with him. Just sat. Yeah? She took a deep breath. My dad's been diagnosed with early-stage dementia. I haven't told anyone yet. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. And I know it's weird to call you of all people, but Vanessa, she always changes the subject. Says I'm being dramatic. It's not weird. I'm glad you called. Tell me what's going on. We talked for over an hour. She cried. I listened. I gave her the names of support groups, sent links to resources, shared a few numbers of people I knew through work who might help. I didn't offer solutions, just space. When she finally calmed down, she whispered, I needed this. Thank you. Vanessa always makes me feel stupid for feeling scared. That must be hard, I said. Patterns. They were forming already. Ugly, familiar ones. Over the next few days, word about our breakup spread. Fast. Vanessa's version? I threw a tantrum and ran away because I couldn't take a joke. My version? I didn't have one. I didn't trash talk her, didn't explain, didn't justify. Just told people we were taking space. Mature, Derek said when I refused to get dragged into drama. Then Thursday happened. I was at a coffee shop, working remotely, when Marco walked in and spotted me. Benji, man! Been hoping I'd run into you. I braced myself. Look, I wanted to say what Vanessa said at dinner. Not cool. It's fine. No. It's not. And can I tell you something? Sure. My girlfriend and I have been fighting a lot. But after dinner, I remembered what you said about just listening. So I tried it. Sat down with her and actually listened instead of trying to fix everything. It was the best conversation we've had in months. I blinked. That's awesome. It is. And it made me realize, Vanessa clowns you for being emotionally available, but she's the one who can't handle real conversations. Remember when Jenna's mom got sick? I do. She tried talking to Vanessa. Vanessa told her to stop being depressing. Ah. Right. Anyway, Marco said, rubbing the back of his neck. We're having game night Saturday. Vanessa won't be there. She says game nights are childish. You should come. I did. It was normal. Kind. No one mocked anyone for caring. That's when Jenna pulled me aside. Claudia told us about her dad. And how you helped. I didn't do much. You listened. That's everything. She paused. She tried talking to Vanessa a month ago. Vanessa told her she was overreacting and started showing her wedding dress mood board. For our wedding. Patterns. More and more. That night, we made a group chat. Not about Vanessa. About Claudia. Resources. Meal trains. Appointment rides. Emotional check-ins. Everyone joined, except Vanessa. She wasn't invited. Vanessa found out about the group chat the same way she finds out about most things, by stalking people she pretends not to care about. Claudia had posted a thank you on Instagram. Nothing dramatic. Just a photo of her dad smiling during one of his better days, captioned, "To the amazing friends who showed up when I didn't know how to ask. Special thanks to Benji for listening when I needed it most and helping me find the right care team. This is what real friendship looks like." She tagged everyone in the group chat, including me. My phone started buzzing like a Vegas slot machine that just hit jackpot. First a few missed calls. Then, V, you turned my friends against me. V, this is so manipulative. V, using Claudia's sick dad to get back at me is pathetic. V, they had game night without me. V, wow. Then she tried calling. 23 times in an hour. I answered on the 24th. Curiosity more than anything. Finally, she snapped, "I'm working." What do you need? What do I need? I need you to stop poisoning my friends against me. I haven't said a single bad thing about you. Then why is everyone taking your side? There aren't sides, Vanessa. We're broken up. They're allowed to be friends with both of us. They chose you. They chose kindness. That's different. She scoffed. Don't get philosophical with me. This wasn't a plan. I didn't sit there thinking, how can I steal all of Vanessa's brunch buddies with my emotional vulnerability? I just helped Claudia. That's it. You probably manipulated her into it. Did I also manipulate Jenna's mom into getting sick? Marco into nearly breaking up with his girlfriend? Come on, Vanessa. Silence. You know what this is really about. I continued. It's not that people chose me. It's that people are tired of being mocked for having emotions. You roll your eyes at anyone who cries. You call people dramatic for being scared. You laugh at empathy like it's contagious. Those were jokes. She snapped. Everyone laughed. Nobody's laughing anymore. She hung up. I figured that was the end. It wasn't. That Saturday, Derek called. Heads up. Vanessa's headed to the cabin. What? Why? Said she needs closure. And that you owe her a real conversation. By the time I walked outside, she was already halfway up the porch, hair messy, eyeliner smudged like she hadn't slept in a day. We need to talk, she said. Okay. She stared at me for a second, lips trembling, then launched in. You ruined everything. What did I ruin? My friendships. My life. Everyone thinks I'm some heartless monster now. I tilted my head. Are you? Her eyes narrowed. How can you ask me that? You know me. I thought I did. She flinched. Then you spent a whole dinner mocking me for being kind to people. It was one dinner. No, it wasn't. It was 3 years of you dismissing every emotion as weakness. Rolling your eyes every time I asked if someone was okay. Telling me I was embarrassing for giving a damn. That's not. Remember when my grandmother died? She blinked. Said nothing. You gave me 2 days to grieve before telling me to move on. When Derek's kid was born premature, you called me clingy for waiting at the hospital. When Mrs. Chun's husband passed, you said I was being obsessed with a woman who wasn't family. Her face twisted. Those were different. How? Because they didn't involve you? Silence again. This is what growing up looks like, Vanessa. It's understanding that emotions aren't weakness. That kindness isn't a character flaw. And that it's okay to walk away from someone who treats empathy like a punchline. So that's it, she whispered. You're just done? You told me to grow up, I said, stepping back inside. I did. And I closed the door. The wedding was called off exactly 30 days later. It wasn't dramatic. No screaming in public. No Facebook rants. Just a quiet removal of the RSVP site and a series of awkward conversations about returning deposits. Vanessa told people it was mutual. That was generous fiction. Mutual usually doesn't include one person sobbing into the living room carpet, while the other calmly sorts joint Amazon purchases into separate boxes. She cried for the first time that day. Funny in a way. 3 years together, and the only time she showed visible emotion was when she realized I was actually done. The friend group didn't split down the middle like you'd expect. It didn't turn into Team Benji versus Team Vanessa. It was more organic than that. The people who valued emotional intelligence, who wanted to talk about hard stuff without being mocked, quietly drifted toward my side of the current. Game nights grew. So did check-in texts. So did support group attendance, meal trains, coffee runs, errand days, surprise birthday videos. The people who agreed with Vanessa? They went the other way. All 3 of them. They still do bottle service and laugh at people who cry during proposal videos. I'm sure they're having a great time. Claudia's dad started treatment a few weeks after the diagnosis. The group took turns bringing food, helping with transportation, making sure Claudia didn't burn out. Jenna's mom pulled through. We threw her a recovery brunch at the cabin. It was beautiful. There were ugly cry speeches and hugs that lasted too long. And nobody made fun of them. Marco, of all people, proposed to his girlfriend at that brunch. Slipped a ring into a folded napkin and knelt beside her with shaking hands. She said yes, crying the whole time. I wouldn't have had the guts, Marco told me later, if we hadn't talked. All those convos about feelings. You made me less scared to care out loud. Simone, a friend of Claudia's, started coming around a lot more too. A teacher. Funny, warm, sharp. She cried watching a homecoming video of a soldier reuniting with his dog. Showed me without shame. When I told her that would have been a red flag for Vanessa, she laughed. That's why it's hot, she said. You actually feel things. You check on people. It's rare. And sexy, by the way. That caught me off guard. But not unpleasantly. It made me realize Vanessa was right about one thing. I didn't need to grow up. Just not in the way she meant. Growing up didn't mean silencing emotions or toughening up. It meant seeing clearly. It meant drawing lines around who gets to sit at your table, and who just throws food at you when you cry at a dog movie. It meant walking away from someone who treats kindness like a flaw. About a week after the wedding was officially cancelled, Vanessa texted me at 1:43 a.m. I know you hate me. But I wanted you to know I started therapy. I'm trying to understand why I'm like this. My therapist says I was raised to see emotions as manipulation because that's how my mom used them. Not an excuse. Just an explanation. I'm sorry. You deserve better. I sat there for a while rereading those words. Not with anger. Not with triumph. Just stillness. I replied the next morning. I don't hate you. Good luck with therapy. I hope you find peace. She responded. Thanks. That's very you. In a good way this time. And that was that. Closure doesn't always slam the door. Sometimes it just soft clicks shut. She never came back to the group chat. Never got re-invited. The people she lost didn't hate her, they just outgrew the idea that friendship means tolerating someone who constantly makes you feel small. Meanwhile, I kept doing what I'd always done, checking in, showing up, sending the occasional "thinking of you" text when something reminded me of someone. And for the first time, it didn't feel like something I needed to defend. Simone and I started seeing each other more regularly. Not rushing anything, just dinners, board game nights, and long walks where she'd vent about her most dramatic students while I pretended to understand the politics of 4th grade lunch tables. One night, while we were doing the dishes after taco night, she said, "You know what I love about you?" I looked up from the soapy water. "My flawless guac." "That, obviously. But also, the way you look at people when they talk. Like you actually hear them." I smiled. "People just want to be heard." "I know. But most people are so busy waiting for their turn to speak, they miss what's being said." She dried her hands and leaned against the counter. "Don't ever let anyone make you feel weird for being like that." "I don't anymore," I said. And I meant it. Vanessa used to tell me I was too much. That I made things heavy. Simone said I brought light. Perspective is a powerful thing. The group chat kept growing. It turned into a spreadsheet at one point, because Jenna is a Virgo and can't be stopped. Claudia's dad had a minor scare and the number of casserole sign-ups was so high, we had to do a lottery to avoid overwhelming their fridge. Game nights became little therapy circles with board games and wine. Nobody was embarrassed when someone got emotional. If anything, we leaned in. I started noticing something strange. The more I showed up as myself, the full, sensitive, thoughtful, embarrassing me, the more people around me relaxed. Like they'd been waiting for permission to do the same. Turns out, vulnerability's contagious too. Just not in the way Vanessa meant. One night in late fall, Claudia invited a few of us over for dinner. Just a cozy get-together, soup simmering on the stove, jazz playing low, the kind of evening where you leave your shoes by the door and your guard by the coat rack. After dinner, we sat around her living room with tea, and she looked at me with this small, thoughtful smile. "You know you kind of broke the friend group, right?" I blinked. "Sorry?" "In a good way," Jenna added quickly, holding her mug like it was a life source. "You broke the whole smile and don't make it weird system we had going." Claudia nodded. "You were the first person who didn't pretend everything was fine when it wasn't. You were the first guy who didn't treat emotions like a party foul." I didn't know what to say. So I said, "I just got tired of pretending I didn't care." Marco chimed in from the couch. "Yeah, and now look what you did. You made us all care more." "It's disgusting." We all laughed, but there was truth under it. Caring had become normal. Crying wasn't awkward anymore. Asking for help didn't come with shame. It was wild, honestly, like discovering you've been allergic to your own friendships this whole time, and suddenly breathing again. A few days later, Vanessa texted again. "Saw the photos from Claudia's dinner. Looks like everyone's thriving." She didn't sound bitter this time. Just distant. Watching something she used to be part of, from behind glass. "Do you think they'd ever talk to me again?" I sat with that one longer. I didn't respond right away. Not because I wanted to punish her, but because I genuinely didn't know the answer. And because the old me would have written back instantly, offered to mediate, to explain, to fix it for her. But the grown-up me? He understood something new. Healing doesn't come from being granted access again. It comes from doing the hard, internal work without an audience. Without applause. So I finally replied. "Maybe. But that's not something I can answer for them. Just keep going to therapy. Show people with time, not texts." "Thanks. That makes sense." I wished her well again. Then muted the thread. And that's when I realized something else. Forgiveness isn't always about letting someone back in. Sometimes it's just about unclenching your fist and letting yourself go. I didn't hate Vanessa. I wasn't even angry anymore. She'd given me a weird gift, in a backwards way. She made me feel ashamed of my kindness, so that when I finally stopped feeling ashamed, I understood just how valuable it really was. Being sensitive wasn't my weakness. It was my strength. It built friendships that lasted. It made space for people to heal. It taught me who was worth my time, and who never was. And in the quiet that followed, I finally started to feel what I'd been too busy caring for others to notice in myself. Peace. Last weekend, I watched Simone cry during a commercial. It was one of those sappy insurance ads, slow piano, a single dad teaching his daughter to drive, then helping her move into college, then flashing forward to him in a nursing home where she brings him pie every Sunday. Classic emotional manipulation. Vanessa would have groaned and left the room. Simone? She dabbed her eyes with her sleeve and sniffled. Okay, that one got me. I just smiled. Yeah. Me too. She reached for my hand, still wiping a tear. You're not gonna make fun of me? Never. We cry together in this household. She laughed, curled into me, and we sat there in silence. That's what it feels like now. Not performative. Not heavy. Just real. Later that night, while we were brushing our teeth, she looked at me in the mirror and said, "You know what I love most about you?" I gave her my best toothpaste foam grin. My impeccable flossing technique? No. She spit into the sink and looked me dead in the eye. That you make people feel safe. I stared at her, toothbrush midair. I've dated guys who made me feel wanted. Some who made me feel excited. But I've never been with someone who made me feel safe. Like if I told you my worst fears, you'd hold them carefully. Not laugh. Not leave. I didn't say anything right away. Because I was feeling something, and these days I know better than to rush past that. She leaned over and kissed my cheek. Also, the flossing thing is hot. But the emotional availability? That's the real panty dropper. I choked on my mouthwash. That night, lying in bed beside someone who didn't make me feel like I had to shrink to be loved, I finally let myself believe it. There was never anything wrong with how much I cared. The only problem was giving that care to someone who treated it like weakness. I used to think growing up meant getting tougher. Harder. Quieter. Now I know better. Growing up means understanding your own value, even when someone else makes you question it. It means walking away from people who mock your kindness and gravitating toward those who mirror it. It means recognizing that sensitivity isn't a flaw to fix, it's a strength that builds real connections, creates safe spaces, and keeps people from falling through the cracks. It's empathy. It's love. It's what made me who I am. So yeah? Vanessa said I needed to grow up. And I did. Just not for her. For me. Update. It's been 6 months since the cabin. Simone and I just moved in together. Small apartment, big windows, one of those cozy kitchens where you can cook and dance without moving your feet too much. She brought over her collection of children's books. Turns out she's one of those teachers who refuses to let the magic die. I brought way too many mugs. Emotional support mug, activated. We still host game nights. They're bigger now. Jenna brings baked goods that are borderline illegal. Claudia usually shows up with wine and some wild update about her dad's physical therapist, who apparently flirts like he's on a soap opera. Marco and his fiancée are planning a wedding. He's making a speech about communication, the centerpiece of his vows. I'm trying not to cry already. Vanessa? Still in therapy. We don't talk, but I've heard things. She's been doing the work. Slowly. Quietly. She volunteers now. At a grief center, of all places. Apparently she's good at listening these days. Life's weird. You spend years thinking you need to be less emotional, less thoughtful, less invested, just to keep certain people comfortable. And then suddenly, one day, you're surrounded by people who love those exact things about you. And not in a, "Wow, you're so sensitive" way, but in a, "Thank you for making me feel human again" kind of way. Simone says she fell for me the day I offered a tissue to a crying stranger in a movie theater without even thinking about it. That's who I am. Always was. And now? I'm finally surrounded by people who don't want me to change. Just show up. Exactly as I am. Sensitive. Emotional. Supportive. And proud of it.